It was a bright, sunny day at the start of the 6 hours of Barcelona. Our pole sitter was Thomas Anderson from Resoon More Than Racing, but it was the Rosso Corsa Ferrari 296 challenge car of Nicolo Schiro that led the way in the early stages, going from 4th to 1st on the run down to turn 1. The challenge car would disappear up the road with the bronze drivers largely in the GT3s. Unfortunately, the 111 Mercedes didn't go beyond the first couple of laps of the race with suspected technical issues. Some great battling among the GT4s, among the Cup cars and the GT3s. This was the number 60, I believe, with Denny Burnt at the wheel early doors, having a great scrap with Kenneth Heyer. In fact, that was Daniel Drexel with Kenneth Heyer in a scrap in the first phase of the race. While that was going on, Stéphane Lemeray was having a duel with Thomas Anderson. Lemeray in the Super Trofeo spec Lamborghini. Second hour of the race, Simon Birch had taken the car over, the Resoon Porsche, the GT3, and tagged the PCR Mercedes into a spin. The star performance for Lamborghini was running well. Unfortunately, there would be no more running at all for the PCR Mercedes after a secondary issue, a spin coming out of turn 7. That car would not be seen again. Some great scrapping all through the field. Almery Bonduel here unlapping himself briefly up against Thomas Anderson. However, he still had a lot more pit stop time to serve than Anderson in the Resoon Porsche. There were suspension issues for Rosso Corsa. A tie rod had to be replaced on the challenge car. It would still ultimately, though, finish in the top half dozen. The circuit became a lot more gloomy and overcast going into the final 90 minutes or so of the motor race. And while this car was running comfortably and fast laps were being set, including the fastest ever racing lap in a GT3 car at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, soon reports of rain were filling the air and wet tyres were being prepared at various garages. Teams were switching on to the wets. And unfortunately for GP Elite, they didn't get the luxury of needing them. The car was pushed in with a drive shaft failure in the final 40 minutes of the race. Bonduel was the first of the GT3 cars to come in for wets at the time, with just 6 seconds between himself and the third place car of Milos Pavlovic at the time of pitting. That was a critical decision from the BDR by Gruppenprom team. The Porsche GT3R made its way out for the final stint of the race. And in fact, this was Bonduel still on slick tyres, I correct myself, with just under half an hour left to go. They were dicing on tyres that weren't really fit for the conditions anymore. The rain was falling harder and harder, and it would be Milos Pavlovic that was the first to bite, to jump onto the slick tyres, of course. Everyone was struggling in these conditions. It wasn't quite wet out there yet, so the treaded tyres weren't working brilliantly for Milos Pavlovic. The slicks weren't working brilliantly for anyone else, though, and as the heavens continued to open, it was now time for everybody to move on to wet tyres. In the final 20 minutes of the race, the weather caused one last twist in the tail. Meanwhile, SR Motorsports Mercedes-AMG GT4, which had been ailing after a fueling issue earlier on in the race, moved up to second in GT4 at the expense of NM Racing at the very end of the race. The Resoon Porsche, the GT3 car, slowed up right at the end of the race for some formation flying with its GT4 cousin. An overall win, a GT3 win and a GT4 win for Resoon More Than Racing, and formation flying as they came across the line. Anderson and Birch have swept the inaugural editions of the Geely Racing 6 Hours of Portimao, and now the Geely Racing 6 Hours of Barcelona. Birch wins it by 2 laps over Milos Pavlovic, just 3 seconds clear. Pavlovic for star performance over Almery Bonduel at the end of the race. Stéphane Lemeray for CMR took home the number 27 Lamborghini in 4th place. Gustav Söderberg-Krö took 5th position and the Cup 2 win for he and the M-Tech competition team. Nicolo Schiro took the Rosso Corsa car to the checkered flag. Denny Burnt was the GT4 class winner for Resoon More Than Racing. Steiner Racing Ulrich Forsberg took second in the Cup 2 class. Jamo Hartling in 9th overall and second in GT4. The SR Motorsport by Schnitzelau Machine and Guillermo Eso rounding out the overall top 10, losing out to Jamo Hartling at the very end of the race. Beat Gans took the X racing car to 11th position at the end of the race, thankfully. Despite pulling up in the last couple of hours. Peter Munich, unfortunately not able to take the flag with the drive shaft issue, or did they get the car out there? They did actually take the checkered flag, so the 140 did make it to the end, albeit not where they expected, and we lost 2 Mercedes, the number 4 car from PCR Sport and the number 111 from SR Motorsport, neither car making it to the end. 181 laps of racing here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. We had multiple classes come down to the wire. Sometimes endurance racing is just fun like that.